Online 24/7. Tag Community Voice Radio. The radio station for Thurrock's BAME community. Subscribe, listen live, and download our app from the Apple and Google App Stores.
Hello everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Family Values, coming all the way to you from Tag Radio Station in Essex. Thank you for tuning in. Today, by the grace of God, we are going to be having a bit of a twist to what I've always been doing, to the norm, by having somebody in the studio that I'll be interviewing today. I believe it's going to be a wonderful time. Please stay tuned. I remain your hostess, Ehi Aderegun. Let's get started. So today I'll be interviewing a dynamic woman, a rare gem, a wonderful woman known as Mrs. Grace Chukwu. Mrs. Grace Chukwu is a parenting specialist and founder of Amazing Parenting, along with her husband, Counselor Daniel Chukwu. Amazing Parenting is an accredited organization. Grace is renowned for advising, supporting, and equipping parents who have children and teenagers with challenging behavior. She has helped bring balance and order to countless homes. Grace is passionate about empowering parents to positively impact their children for the good of their families and our society. She has a ministry of fathers and has a yearly conference where fathers can be encouraged, enlightened, inspired to be the best they can. Grace is a conference speaker, a consultant. She has featured on radio and is an author of several parenting books. She also writes bespoke parenting programs for parents who have learning needs. Grace has deep industry knowledge and believes if parents take their rightful place as heads of their home and instill correct parenting, children will reach their best potential with exemplary behavior. Grace is a mother of 2 adult children. She is a counselor, a psychologist, and an independent parenting assessor. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome to the station this afternoon this rare gem, a counselor, a coach, a consultant, a public speaker, known as Mrs. Grace Chukwu. Ma, you are welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much, Pastor Annie.
That was a detailed introduction, wasn't it? Thank you for doing so much. Now, I pray that Okay. That was a detailed introduction. Thank you so much, ma. I pray you will live to see your vision sprout and blossom.
Thank you.
Without
Amen.
any delay, we want to go into the question time. Are you okay, ma?
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Thank you once again for coming and
my
honoring
pleasure.
our invites.
My pleasure.
Okay. The first question I want to ask you this afternoon is, when did you start to conceive this vision and when did it start?
Okay. So many years ago, even before I got married, before I had children, I had the opportunity to go to America and be the counselor for teenage girls. And they would tell me stories of the struggle that they had with their own parents.
Okay.
How they would fight and argue and disagree, and it would cause, fights in the home and cause the child and the parent not to, see eye to eye. And I believe then God just laid on my heart that I can be a bridge between parent and child. And that's how Amazing Parenting started, even though then we didn't have the name Amazing Parenting, but that's how it got laid on my heart to start bringing that bridge between parent and child to make sure homes stay together. As we know, the breakup of a home affects children, impacts them negatively. So I really wanted to be a part of keeping families together and helping parents understand that they are the catalyst to keeping their families together and helping their children get to the destination that that God has put in them that they need to do. So yes.
Wow, that's good. So it was like a passion that you now decided
Yes.
to. Wow, well done. That's good. Thank you so much, ma. The second question I want to ask you is, now you have spoken to me, it's like the children are involved, the parents are involved, everybody is involved. Who is actually your target audience? Who are actually your target audience? And then how do you reach them?
Okay.
How do you reach your
Brilliant.
target audience?
So our target audience is obviously parents, but especially if you've got children who you're not seeing eye to eye with, children who you don't know how to set rules and boundaries, there's no communication between you, there's no love lost between you, there's parental conflict, anything where there's a breakdown between parent and child, those are our target parents. But also, you may have a good relationship with your children, but you want to know how to maintain it. Because whatever you've got, you have to know how to maintain, you have to know how to keep. So we also work with parents who, they have a good relationship, but they want to maintain it, they want it to grow, they want it to blossom, they want it to be better. So those are our target audience.
Okay, wow, that's good. So your target audience are like parents and children or adults or adolescents, as this case may be. And your work is yours to make sure that they maintain law and order in the home.
Yes.
If it has broken down, you help to restore.
Yes.
If it has not broken down, you help to maintain.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Well done.
Yes,
You're really
and that's
doing
also for parents who have very young children, primary age school, secondary age school children, and even school leavers and young adults. We also work with those parents. And parents who have children with learning needs, children with disabilities, because sometimes, as we know, it can be very daunting for a parent who has a child with a disability. That stigma, that taboo that can sometimes be around those parents, that they feel that. So we also work with parents who are struggling in that sense as well.
Okay. Like maybe parents that are neglecting their children, or parents that are using substance, you can make like substance abuse,
Yes.
things like that.
Yes.
You also help
alcohol,
them.
drugs,
Okay.
yeah, domestic violence, domestic abuse.
Okay.
We also help those parents as well.
Wow.
Yes.
That's good. Then we'll have place to refer some people to them.
Yes.
Okay. The other question I want to ask you is, one, are you involved alone in doing all this you have just enumerated? Because it's quite a lot. So are you alone, or who are those working with you? How do you get them? How do you also sustain people working with you?
Yeah. So it's mainly me and, like you said, Councillor Daniel, my husband. We work together, helping the parents, and I go out to see the parents, or we do online. But yeah, so it's just me and my husband, and we do all of those necessary works. I do outsource if I need anything, like when I do my books. They do the covers, they do the editing, things like that. That's when we can outsource. But when it comes to the direct working with the parents, yeah, that's me.
Okay, well done.
Yeah, that's
well
us,
done.
yes.
Yeah. I know I've met you in some conferences.
Yes,
and
we
events.
have
Yeah.
been,
You
yes,
really
we've
have passion
met.
for what you are doing. Well done. That's good. I want to quickly say this before we continue.
Okay.
That Tag Radio has, we are on social media, on different platforms. So please feel free to go there, comment, like, and share with other people, and subscribe where you need to subscribe. Very important. We're on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're also on YouTube. You just go there and at Tag Radio 1. Please feel free to do so. It's all free. Please sustain this program. We are doing a lot and we need your input, and your input is to go and try and subscribe, comment, and then share with other people. And then we also have a telephone call in case you want to make any telephone call to make constructive suggestion or contribution. Feel free to do so, and our number is 079 200 26407. The other number is 079 200 26406. So the difference is just at the extreme end. One is 07 ending with 07, and the other one is ending with 06. Please feel free to call in to share your experiences, or to ask our guest any questions as appropriate. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Ma. Let's continue. I want to ask, what are your strategies to reach the unreached? Yes. What are your strategies? Because it's like only you and your husband. That's really a lot. And I believe your husband is also doing some other job. I don't know if this is what you do solely. So what are the strategies you put in place? So is this something you do on regular basis? How regular do you do it then?
Okay, so we have our YouTube page at Amazing Parenting 1612. So if you just go to YouTube and do the @ Amazing Parenting 1612. And we have over 200 videos on YouTube, free of charge. You could just go to that platform. You can just watch those videos. So many different subjects we've put there. So that's YouTube. We're also on Instagram. And we also have a dad's group, like you mentioned. We have a dad's conference every year, but also we have a dad's group every week. We send messages to the dads of encouragement, getting them to do different things during that week with their children to help enhance and boost their relationship with their children. So there's so many different ways. Of course, like you said, I'm called to speak publicly at churches, at schools, organizations, anywhere where there's parents gathered. I do speak there. So yes, that's where I do speak.
So you can speak in conferences, seminars, workshops, churches, anniversaries, whatever. I know we've had you in our anniversaries sometime. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, the next question is, with your vast experience, how does cultural differences affect parents of the Afro-Caribbean origin, which have now become foreign citizens? So when we're talking to parents who maybe they were born somewhere else, they've come to England and they have had their children here in England, so they have both cultures. They have the Afro-Caribbean culture, but depending on where they've come from, and then they have the British culture. And so we have to understand that it's important that parents recognize both cultures and to take the best from their own culture, the best from the British culture, and marry the two together. And so their children get that blend of, this is where my parents come from, this is how we interact, this is what we do, this is our language, this is our food, this is our dress sense. And on the British side, this is also what we do, because that's where our children were born. So it's very important that parents recognize that their children are growing up in an environment that they didn't grow up in. That parents recognize that they have to marry those two cultures together, and that way they'll get the best out of both worlds. Wow, thank you so much. So you are just trying to encourage us to say that you don't need to drop your culture or your values or whatever.
Absolutely
not.
But
look at the strengths in your maybe African culture or Afro-Caribbean culture. Look at the strength in the British culture. Marry them together and fly with it or work with it.
Absolutely.
Wow, that is really nice. That will make you an outstanding person then. Thank you so much. Thank you. That is so good so far. I want us to go on a short break at this junction. We'll be right back. Stay, tuned. God bless you. We'll be right back. See you soon.
sorrow, the hardship, the pain. But though the mountains crumble and the oceans rage, and war against my soul the devil may wage, though the tempest has turned my smile upside down, and my life like a river of sorrow in which I drown, yet will I stand, unshaken for as long as it lasts. Faithful is he that promised, and it shall come to pass. If God be for us, then who can stand against? The God who spoke all the earth into form. He said, let there be light, let it be bright, let there be day, let there be night. Out of the sound of his voice, birds, fish, and trees did come. The mountains, they melt like wax. The hills skip like young cows at the sound of the voice of the God that we
Online 24/7. Tag Community Voice Radio. The radio station for Thurex BAME community. Subscribe, listen live, and download our app from the Apple and Google App Stores.
Welcome back. This is Torok African Radio, all the way from Excess. I remain your hostess, Ehi Aderegun, and today I have a dynamic woman by my side that I'm interviewing. She's the brain behind Amazing Parenting. As we said before in our intro, she's a counselor, a coach, a mentor, a public speaker. In fact, she does so much. She's still with me, and we'll continue the section. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Mrs. Grace. Thank you so much. So we'll continue our question section. You talked about the Afro-Caribbean, how to marry, the positive values in both, and then use it to accomplish your purpose, which is really very good.
Yes.
And I want to ask you, because you are doing so much and the rest, I don't know how you are sustaining it and all. I want to ask you, who are your sponsors, and how do you finance this great work you are doing in the community?
Yes, great question. So we are open to sponsors to come alongside us. We're open to sponsors all the time, anytime, but we finance it ourselves. We do finance Amazing Parenting ourselves. We do have people that buy our books, and we're able to give some books away free because they bought them in advance, so we can give them away free. We've been able to do that. So yeah, we do welcome sponsors, but right now we sponsor everything ourselves.
Well done. That is really much, but there's no seed you plant that will not germinate and yield fruits. It only takes time.
Thank you.
And I know it will happen. The next question I want to ask you is, what are some limiting factors or challenges you have encountered in executing your dream work? What are those limiting factors? I'm not sure it has always been rosy, There may have been, some limiting factors along the way. Can you just share one or two of them with us?
I think limiting factors, maybe not limiting, but in the such that we want to have a wider audience. We want to be able to reach more people. That's why we're here today on radio. So we want to expand Amazing Parenting's reach. That would be something that we aim to do more of, and that's what we want to do. So yes, I wouldn't say it's a limiting challenge. It's just something we want to do more of. We want to get out, have Amazing Parenting footprint wider, bigger, across Britain and across then the globe.
Okay. That's really very good. That's massive. And that's why, very soon I'm sure you'll be looking for supporters or volunteers to help you do this wonderful work. Okay. Somebody has just put a question on the social media. I want to read it so that you can respond to the question.
Okay.
It says, what are some tips for a young father of daughters eager to maintain a healthy, strong relationship with children? So from this question, it's like the man has only fathers, maybe 3, 4, or 5 fathers, as the case may be. I don't know. So it's asking, what are the tips you can give to him in trying to maintain a strong relationship with the children? I believe where this person is coming from, as a father of only daughters, you have to be very careful. I know somebody that he has sons and daughters, but he doesn't wash the daughters at all. It doesn't touch them. It's trying to be very careful so that they won't say maybe it's abusing or taking advantage of them or touching them, anyhow or inappropriately. That's the word. So I think this is the place this man is coming from. What will you tell him?
Okay. Dads who have girls, it's very important that you are physical with your girls. You do hug them. Girls need to be hugged. What happens is when dads don't hug their children, because we have to remember the dad's voice was the first male voice that little girl heard when she was in her mum's womb. So, and we are wired as girls, as women, to be attracted to men. Boys are wired to be attracted to women. So if a dad doesn't love his daughter by showing it physically, hugging her, telling her she's beautiful, giving her money to get her hair done, being the one to take her out to buy her school uniform, as she gets older, any man that shows her any kind of attention, she will gravitate towards him. So it's so important that dads take that step and take that charge of being the man in their daughter's life. Man as in male, that male role model in their daughter's life, that first man. Like I was saying with the dads group that we have, I sent a message a few months back now, saying, dads, this week, send your daughter flowers. Come home with flowers for your daughter, no matter how old she is. So you are the first man to buy your daughter flowers. And we had some responses back, the dads who went and bought their daughters flowers. So it's very important that dads do take that stance and be very physical with their children, hugging them, taking them out to play, being with them, talking to them, hearing about what their day at school. Okay.
Sorry, we have a caller.
A caller.
Yeah. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Aderegun.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Ayo.
I'm enjoying your show.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Educative for me.
Okay.
I just want to ask a parenting question.
Okay.
How can I deal with a troublesome and a violent son? I have a son who doesn't listen to me and always want to have his way. What are the
Tips.
what are the things the counselor can advise me to do?
Thank you.
Thank you
for that question. I believe you heard that.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
did. I
Okay.
did.
Thank
Just
you
before
so
we
much.
start, how old is your son?
A 20-year-old.
20. Okay, so he's a young adult now. So the first thing we need to do is, as the dad, you have the authority already in the home with your son. So it's not a case of you wielding that authority. It's a case of you showing your son that you have the authority. And authority doesn't mean you come in with an iron fist. Authority means you come in with love. You come in to serve. You come in to appreciate what he brings to the family. We have to think about, when was the last time you told your son that you loved him? When was the last time that you told your son you were proud of him? When was the last time you and your son went out somewhere together? Went to football, went to cricket, went to watch something together? Or even in the home, when was the last time you watched something together on Netflix? When was the last time you bought a gift for your son? Now you might be thinking, why should I be the one to do all the giving? Because we're the parents, when there's fraud in the family, the inroads has to come from the parents to the child first, so that door can be open, and then a two-way stream can happen. But those are the basic and first things that needs to be done. He needs to know that you love him. He needs to know that you appreciate him. He needs to feel part of the family. So whatever's making him aggressive, whatever's making him angry, it needs to be addressed. There are first three things you need to look at why he's being angry. And this goes for whatever the age of the child. You need to look at them emotionally. What is affecting him emotionally in the home? So like we said, are you loving towards him? Do you hug him? Do you tell him that you love him? So those are the emotional things you look at first of all. Your emotional intelligence towards your son. Then you look at the psychological side of him. So what is he watching on TV? Where is he going? Who are his friends that affect his psychological makeup? That's what you need to look at. And then also you look at the spiritual side of it, because we are Christians. We have that advantage of looking at our children through the spiritual lens and see where are we going wrong. And then you can take a step back and be praying and be asking God, what do I need to do as dad? Where am I failing? Where am I missing it? Because sometimes when our children act out, we automatically, and that's just human nature, we want to point the finger at, well, if you behaved, things would be better. But what we need to be asking is, what am I doing as dad that's making my child possibly behave like this? So we really need to look at these areas: his psychological makeup, his emotional makeup, his spiritual makeup, and then that physical side of things where you're being together, you're going out together, you're sitting down having meals together, those side of things. And it's not going to happen overnight. He just won't change overnight. But as you maintain these psychological, physical, and emotional things with him, you'll begin to see that tide turn to begin with.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you want to be part of our dad's group, you can as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Oh my God, we have another caller, and there's something that yours. Hello, caller. Hello. Hello, caller. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Excellent show. I just wanted to ask, I have a teenager and they're hanging around with some friends that I feel aren't necessarily beneficial to my child's future, but communicating that with the child has been very difficult. What are some tips I could take on that could help me maybe encourage them to pick better friends or cut off negative relationships?
Brilliant. Excellent question. The first thing you got to look at is, don't necessarily talk to him about his friends because he was shut down. Spend quality time with him. What are his interests? You take an interest in them. What does he like doing at school? He said he's a teenager, so he's still at school. What is his favorite subjects? What does he like doing? What does he do for his downtime? If he spends a lot of time in his room, maybe if he has an Xbox or PlayStation, play FIFA with him. And it's in those down times, those quiet times, those calm times, that's when you can talk about your differences that you have with him and his friendship groups. But don't come straight in talking about, oh, this friend that you have, oh, I don't like Johnny, I don't like this friend that you have because I believe they're leading you astray. You befriend him first. I always tell parents, we are not our children's friend or our children's friends, but we need to be friendly so our children can approach us. So begin to start doing those things with him that he enjoys. Like we said, is it FIFA that he enjoys? Is it football? Is it something that he likes to do? And begin to do those things with him. And then when you're doing those things, that's when those subjects can be brought up. You can be then talking about his friend when he mentions the friend's name. So begin to start with that angle first and see where you can go with that side.
So many.
Does that answer your question, sir?
Most definitely.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
So many questions are coming up. Mrs. Chuku, I want to read the next question on the screen.
Okay.
But before I read it, I want you to have these two questions in mind.
Yep.
Then I'll read that. Then
Okay.
you respond to all of them
Okay.
at once. Going back to the question of the last but one caller that talked about his teenage son that is 20 years. You talked about emotional involvement and the rest. 20 years, they are becoming sexually active. So what do you think? Sometimes that may be a factor that is making him to misbehave because what do you put it now? These hormones are becoming erratic. You understand? That's one. Then two, financial too. These are the stage where if they don't have money, they start thinking of how do I make money, cheap money, because that girl looking at me there and there wants some money, wants to be taken out and the rest. So do I make those? I want you to have those questions in mind while I read this one and then you respond. This one is saying, what's your view on discipline and the law, and any tips on effective discipline that would yield a positive outcome? Discipline in the UK is a big issue, and it feels like there is lack of discipline, especially within the BME community. this seems to be an increase in our black youths going to prison. Do you understand it?
Excellent question. Wonderful question. First and foremost, like we said with the first caller, spending that quality time with your children, first and foremost. And it's not about having that discipline straight off the bat. First of all, you need to set the scene. Your children need to know what the boundaries are, what the rules are. And like we said, we don't rule with an iron fist. So they need to know what the rules are, what the boundaries are, and what the consequences are for breaking those rules. First and foremost. So just like as adults, if you're a driver, we already know what the consequence is if you go through a red light when you're driving. It's not a surprise what the consequence is. You know you're going to get points, or you lose your license, you'll have to go to court. So the same thing with our parenting. Our children need to know what are the consequences for breaking daddy's rules, for breaking mummy's rules. That's first and foremost. And then you have to make sure that when you put these consequences in place, it matches, one, the child's age, it matches the severity of what the child has done. For instance, if they've, lost their school bag, it's not necessarily something that you're going to come down so heavy on, where they may have a fight at school. The discipline and the correction needs to match the crime as such. Just for instance, you wouldn't go to prison for life if you stole a loaf of bread. So the same must be with our parenting. It must have a gradient to it. So with the discipline side of things, have your rules and boundaries in place first. Let your children know what the consequences are for breaking these rules and boundaries. You too, as the parent, make sure you follow through what these rules and boundaries are. So there's no point in you saying, right, that's it, you've misbehaved, you're not going to get your birthday present, when you know well and good they will get their birthday present. So you have to make sure whatever the consequences are, you as a parent can follow through on. So that way your children understand that your word is your bond. What you say, you mean. And from there, that relationship will begin to build. So when it then comes to disciplining your children, they already know what the consequence is going to be. And then you can increase those consequences by adding something extra to already what those consequences are. So first and foremost, we must let our children know what the rules and boundaries are and the consequences for breaking those rules and boundaries.
Thank you. You didn't add the other one. Forgot it. Sexual and financial.
Okay, so back to the first question that you asked. Okay, so with the first caller that had the 20-year-old going through hormones, maybe that's what's making him violent. Again, that relationship needs to be built with that child, that young adult child. So talk to him about what are his aspirations. And whatever he says, don't shoot him down. He might come out with something very far-fetched, and you might think, oh, he's never going to do that, or that's crazy. We have to allow our children to tell us and to talk to us about their dreams and aspirations, no matter what they are. Because not all of our children are going to go through the academic route. And I understand a lot of African Caribbeans, they're very hot on schooling and education and university and those kind of things. Whereas a lot of children today are taking the creative route. They are being very creative. I'll give you, for instance, it wasn't the music industry that made iTunes. It wasn't the hotel industry that made Airbnb. It wasn't the taxi industry that made Uber. It was creative minds. So we have to be very mindful that when our children come to us with inventions, with creativity, we don't shoot them down. Because if it was the two young men that made Airbnb, if we was their mum and they came to tell us, oh, we have this idea of making a hotel, Airbnb, we would be quick to tell them, oh, there's already Travelodge, there's already Premier Inn, there's already Hilton. But look, today we have Airbnb. So we have to be very mindful of our children that have creative mindsets, that creative vein in them, and we must champion it. So with this child who's being violent, what's behind it? If we think of a tree, the reason why there's apples on the tree is because there's apple roots. So whatever the child is doing, that's just the fruit. We have to get to the root of why the child is behaving like that. So there's so many different angles we can come from to, you know, tackle this issue with the child that's aggressive and violent. But that's a main key we can approach it from.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Time is fast spent. I know many people would have wanted you to continue. Even me, I would have wanted you to continue the way I'm listening to you with apt attention. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, we have come to the end of the session, but before you just go, I want to just ask you for one word of encouragement that you have for the public out there.
Yes. All parents can be great parents. It's a journey and we will get there. So understand that it's a journey. Every stage that your children are in, you too are in a stage. So it's important that you recognize the stage that you're in. That's one. Two, if you need help with your parenting, seek help. Don't feel like it's a taboo. If I need to ask for help, it means I'm a bad parent or a weak parent. Find the help. That's why Amazing Parenting was built. If you need to contact Amazing Parenting, you can, like we said, there's that YouTube at Amazing Parenting 1612. If you want to call, email Amazing Parenting, it's amazingparenting@gmail.com. If you want to phone Amazing Parenting, it's 07866 777 206. So feel free to call or send an email. If you just want to leave a comment, you can do that on our social media pages. But if you want me to give you a direct answer to your question, then call in, leave a text or send an email.
Thank you so much. There's this question I omitted. I think I will really want you to reflect on it, maybe briefly. And it says, how do you deal with a child that likes to isolate and hardly opens up?
Okay.
A withdrawn child.
Yes.
How do you deal with it?
Lots of children today want to spend their time in their rooms, on their phones. And like I said earlier, it's for the parent to make the inroads to that child. You know your child better than anybody else. So interact with them with what they like to do. So you have to put yourself out there for your child. What is it your child likes to do? And then you do that with your child, whether it's going out, whether it's rock climbing, whether it's football, whether it's watching a movie together. You have to make those inroads to your child. Go into their room, sit on the edge of the bed, strike up a conversation. It doesn't have to be a deep, meaningful conversation. It can just be very light for about 5-10 minutes. But begin to interact with your child, doing the things that they would like to do. Ask them what they would like to do. And if they find it difficult to talk to you, because some children don't like to have that eye contact, send them a text. Send them a text and say, let's do something tomorrow. Let's do something on the weekend. What would you like to do? And your child will be possibly surprised by that. So start there.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sister Grace. It has been an amazing time with you. You know, I've learned so much with you within this short time, and I pray that Amazing Parenting will go worldwide, just like you said. Amen. You know, and the Lord will bring sponsors and supporters and volunteers across your way, by the grace of God. Thank you so much for honoring our invite. Audience, you have heard what our amiable guests have said today. I believe we are all like, wow, this is good. So it will be terrible if we still become victims after what we have heard today. It is never too late. Go back, look at your home, start to put those things you need to put in place. Your home must just be successful. It must be among those to be, proud of tomorrow. But the work starts today. And I know by the grace of God, you will not fail yourself, you will not fail your children will not fail you. And then Amazing Parenting, when she sees us next time, she'll be very proud and happy with us. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate everyone that have tuned in today. Thank you so much. We have come to the end of today's session of Family Values. Don't forget again, please, our social media handle, they are all still there. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook. Go there and please, share your comments, subscribe, and you can also share it with other people. Very important, please. And our social media is at Tag Radio 1. Don't forget, it's at Tag Radio 1. You know, Facebook at Tag Radio 1, Twitter at Tag Radio 1, Instagram at Tag Radio 1, YouTube at Tag Radio 1. Make sure you subscribe, comment, and refer somebody to that. You can also share it with other people. Thank you so much. We have come to today's to the end of today's section of family values. I'll see you again maybe next week. I want to appreciate the people behind the production. Our Councillor Boki Okunade, thank you for giving us this platform. The Lord bless you real good. The production crew, thank you so much. All the people behind the scene, making sure that this work and this platform is up and running. Thank you so much. Until I come your way again, I remain your hostess, Ehi Aderegun. See you next week. Bye.